why you've read it or heard it on the radio, that the hospital has received an award or a special certification. It was the only one in the state of Washington.
Well, you're going to have to be more specific. I'm thinking about a dozen. No, I'm trying to recall.
It was just this fall that I heard that.
Pardon me?
It was just this fall. that I heard
Oh.
that. Okay.
I'm sorry. I know that we were recognized by. Well, I don't want to speak, but thank you. She threw me a softball. I know, that's right. Yeah.
I have great care of Jefferson, and I thank you for everything you do. Provide us with your care, or with the care of your facility. And my question is, how easy will it be for you to recruit doctors for all these positions, new offerings, based on our housing and based on our school system here? Is that really hard, or has it been a pretty easy process?
It hasn't been easy. It hasn't been easy for the 13 years that I've been here. Although actually about the last 5 is when I first got here, it was undiscovered. Housing costs were actually a net positive for us. Come over here, get away from the city. Beautiful access. Well, I don't have to tell you, but it was easier. I think the last handful of years when housing prices have shot up and now people are pointing out, wow, it's cheaper than Squim and it's even Holesville for that matter. So that's a challenge, and we have to be a little bit more creative, and we work with a couple of realtors, and they're part of the recruitment team, and they get on that right off, and our offers now include a housing stipend. It used to be sort of this relocation, and now it's sort of focused on helping folks find a home. So that's a challenge. The school systems hasn't been a problem. That I think that there will the providers or the families that that really think of Lakeside or a Bush or a Bellevue School District for one reason or another is the best fit for them. Well, they typically aren't rural-minded anyway. But I think our school district, and they frequently participate in interviews. Their doctors will want to talk with the school superintendent, and so I think we're in pretty good shape there. But it's something I didn't have to spend a whole lot of time thinking about 5 or 6 years ago. I spend a lot of time thinking about that now. But after saying all that, I like our chances that we're pretty good at recruitment. We understand that, and as Dr. Matter, my chief medical officer sort of ally, he will tell me that great doctors recruit great doctors. And when we recruit providers, it's a provider to provider exercise. And I just come in at the end and talk a little bit about the organization. And what we have found is that these doctors, they come in and they meet their colleagues and who they'll be working with, and that pretty much seals the deal. So fingers crossed, we got about 1.5 years. But,
well, I'm just wondering overall, when we lived here, it was really hard to get on board with a physician and a primary doctor. And even today, when you go onto the site, it says accepting new patients, and they're not. And that's a really difficult. I'm wondering if that will open up, if there'll be maybe some more providers, primary providers.
Well, I didn't think it was really tight for a while because we had limited the number of patients our doctors were seeing during COVID, but we opened that back up again, and my understanding that it got better, but I will look into it because we have enough. Utilization experts tell me that we have enough providers in order to meet community demand, but I think it's just a matter of how well we are managing the clinics. But I will go talk with Jake, the person who manages the clinic, and say, wait a minute, are we sure? We follow this days to third next available. And that's kind of this metric of understanding just how saturated your medical group is. And we've been watching that number drop down, but I frequently hear from new members of the community, look, 6 months out, help, and that's not what the data is showing. All right, one more question. We're done.
Mike, we're now in the political season, and Donald Trump is saying that if re-elected president, he will repeal the Affordable Care Act. So I'm wondering how important the Affordable Care Act is to Jefferson Healthcare. What does it mean? Is that a big deal? If it were to somehow go away, whether he could really do that or not is another question. But yeah.
Well, it would be a huge deal. It would be a huge deal to our community.
It's a positive. It's a huge deal in the positive, yeah, for the community.
What?
I mean, you're right, it's a huge deal, but it's a plus because if they reform it.
Oh.
You know, if
Well,
they reform it.
what I will tell you that it did is that it added thousands of residents who didn't have health insurance who got sick, and that would have the anxiety of not having health insurance, but when they would get sick, they would come in and get treatment that we would ultimately be charity care. It gave them access to Medicaid. So then they were able to get on to see a primary care doctor, and so it had a positive financial result for us. But I think more importantly, it just provided a level of security to kind of, I used to call it the working poor, because basically what happened is that Medicaid's eligibility requirements were just changed to capture more people. So I think it was like 3,000, it was a huge number, 2,000 to 3,000 people in our community went from not having insurance to having insurance. So that was certainly a good thing for them, and I think financially it was a good thing for us too. We'll still keep taking care of them if it were to be repealed, but it probably would have financial implications.
We want to thank Mike and the rest of the folks from the Hospital Foundation and the Hospital Board for being here tonight to explain what the new project looks like and answer all the questions from our community. So, thanks.